I think about the artist Van Gogh comes to my mind as we're talking about creativity and art. Think about his Starry Night. Man, in complete turmoil, in complete turbulence, looking out on a city, draws a painting. We think it's beautiful, and he's looking out on a church. And if you'll notice in the painting, all the church's lights are down. The beauty of the sky is what is beautiful. And they've actually taken science and math to the painting and realized that the swirls that are in the painting actually are the exact formula for turbulence if you measure it in science or physics. And out of this man's heart, out of this man's motives, out of this man's deepest struggle, he painted something that was on canvas, something that reflected something that was going on inside. And what had happened to Van Gogh most of his life is that he sought first to be a preacher, was very odd a very odd person, and was not accepted in the church. And so he grew to an opinion that the lights were out in the church, the stars in the city were bright, and that's why you see it in Starry Night. What we see here is an artist who was adventurous enough, a creator who was bold enough to not only share the gospel, I believe, in his life, or living that life of Jesus said we're going to share in his sufferings, but also bold enough to bring some of that into his art. And he died with nothing, and his art only became famous after he was alive. And why I say this is because we talk about why we brought Ray on is because there is that good news and that bad news of the gospel. And I feel like a lot of times people create and they do things simply because they want to. And they do things simply because it's available to them. Where C.S. Lewis said our greatest downfall will be doing everything we think about. And we don't have any guidelines. We don't have a central place to start with what we're trying to communicate in the first place. And Ray is speaking to us about a medium, choosing a medium based on a message. He's starting with the message, starting with that urgency, and it's playing itself out in his craft. His craft is evangelism. That's his gift. He's got other gifts. He's writing. It's playing itself out as a writer. It may be you that you're a novelist. It may be that you're a poet. It may be that you're a business starter. It may be that you're a teacher. It may be that whatever place you find yourself in, that urgency is playing it. That message of urgency is playing itself out through your medium. And I want to encourage you to be bold enough to go there, bold enough to state the bad news, make it, he talked about in very, I think, poetic, unashamed language of the atrocities of hell and how we're not scaring people into heaven, scaring people to get saved, but the reality of it turns us towards beauty. And if our efforts as creatives is to be about beauty, beauty has attention. I remember reading a quote that said beauty, and it was I can't remember, as a philosopher trying to define beauty. He says beauty is terrifying. Beauty is unhinged. When you look at a mountain, it's beautiful. You go into the mountain, it can take your life. And we need to be bold enough to explore that. But what Ray is also talking about is the goodness of God and the glory of God go together. Isn't that interesting? That his beauty goes hand in hand with his demeanor. What he is creating is going hand in hand with how he seems. His message is completely in line with how his manner is going forward. And that is what we want to think about, is how do we embrace this tension of the gospel of knowing our sin, having an urgency for where we are without God, and having an urgency and a joyful feeling of where we are with God, and how's it playing itself out through what we make and who we are becoming.